Looking to improve your life, brush up on your personal growth techniques? You are in the right place. Welcome to Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap.
Hello, everybody. This is Kevin Dunlap with Life's Little Lessons, and today I have another very interesting guest that we've been our chat before the actual interview, where we've been learning a lot about each other. Her name is Jeni Cleft, and she actually is from Melbourne, Australia. So this is our second guest coming to us from Australia. She's an IT professional. She's actually has 4 different offices throughout different area parts of Australia, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about her IT services that she offers. And so, without any further ado, Jeni, welcome to our show today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. I know there's a huge time difference before we're doing this. So I know this is early morning for you. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning for you right now, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon my time. So I understand there's a huge time difference. So thank you for taking the time out in the morning. I know you're just getting started with your business and helping and being on our show today. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. It's always fun to try and find a time that works on both sides of the globe. So no, it's great. Thank you.
Well, Jeni, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? What is it that you do, and why is it that you do it?
So I own an IT business, which is pretty funny because I have no IT skills whatsoever. Nobody would ever employ me for my IT skills. My husband and I work together. We have now for 22 years. We've been married for 27 or so years and working together for 22 of those years. And our 2 sons, who are 23 and 21, have actually both ended up working in the business as well. So really a family business. So we provide IT services. So we always say to our clients, our aim is that we provide a service where their staff can come to work, do their job. They have their tools, the software, the programs, and everything that they need, that they can come to work, do their job and not think about IT. So I guess one of our taglines is, we think about your IT so you don't have to.
And that's a very cool tagline. That's an awesome tagline.
Well, a few of our friends have chosen it. One of our friends does a music in-store business, so he's chosen it. We think about your music so you don't have to. It's like, you stole our line.
They changed a word or two.
Exactly. He was so proud of himself.
So how did you get started in something like that? I mean, working in an industry that you're not...
that I don't know anything about.
Correct.
Yeah. So my husband's background is IT. So he worked for one of the American or multinational organization, Unisys. He was there for about 13 years. And he was 1996. He'd been working on a project for about 6 months. There was a change of management. He was working in Sydney. There was a change of management at head office, and they canned that project. So everything that he'd done for 6 months was just gone. And he came home and he said, "That's it. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be in charge or in control of what we do." So we ended up actually starting a business and contracting labour back to Unisys. So our original business we had 22 staff spread around various locations around Victoria, New South Wales and Tasmania, so 3 states within Australia. And 4 years down the track, we had a couple of business partners. 4 years into it, we discovered that we had a partner that we didn't know about, that they'd lied to us. And so we decided at that point that if that was how they operated, we didn't want anything to do with it. So we actually ended up, we couldn't buy them out, they wouldn't sell. So we ended up walking away with nothing.
Wow.
But we just were not prepared to work with people with those ethics. And hardest thing we ever did, best thing we ever did. We had non-compete clauses, but we walked out in October. They had gone broke by the following June. So they're, no more non-compete. So we started again in February 2002 with just Nick and I and 1 employee. And have been, as I said, it was the hardest thing that we've ever done to walk away from that first business, but we learned a lot about ourselves in doing that. And it really, I guess, gave us the confidence that we knew what we were doing. Our original, having or thought of having those partners was that they would help us and that they had business experience. But yeah, like I said, we just were not prepared to work with people who, that was the way they operated.
Well, and that is sad that things like that happen. I mean, that's going to happen all the time. So yeah, that's that. And but the thing is, you had the skill set from that first business to
Absolutely.
start the second one without, and therefore you were able to at least get the ball rolling a lot quicker because you already had that experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you look back and you say, the hardest lessons were the best ones. You really learn so much about yourself, and, how resilient you are and how resourceful you can be when you're really under pressure. We had two little boys, and nothing.
Well, yeah, it was
So,
16 years ago. I mean, the recording the show, I guess now you guess that was in 2018, but that
yeah,
was 16 years ago. And you say your kids in their early 20s. So yeah, that would have been still single digits at that time.
absolutely. Yeah, they were, I think, before school age.
Okay.
So yeah, but hardest lessons are the best ones. You learn really, what you're made of when you're faced with decisions like that.
Well, and the thing is, you did not let that sour the milk, or that you would not let that get you down. You still, how long was it before, after you walked away from that business, that first business, before you started the second one? Was it fairly quickly, or?
So that was October 2000. So we were living in a country region of Victoria. We made the decision to move back to Melbourne at that point. Both Nick and I got jobs. Nick was working for a software company that we had done quite a bit of work with. Then we moved back to Echuca and started the business in February '02. Sorry, we just had somebody come into the room to steal a chair from the room. So it was about a year and a half. And so February 2002, what did I say, October 2000 to February '02, so a year and a half, yeah.
Okay, and now you, in our pre-interview, you were saying you now have 4 different locations now,
Mm.
16 years later.
Yeah, so we have our one office in Melbourne. So we have 5 or 6 of us here. We have a small office in Geelong, which is Victoria. If you look at the map of Australia, Victoria's at the bottom right. So we have Geelong, which is Victoria's second biggest city outside of Melbourne. We have a couple of staff there. Bendigo, which is the third biggest city. We have an office just with a couple of staff there, and then another 2 hours drive north again, and it's however many the rest of our 14 staff
Wow.
are based in that office. So from basically, if we did a round trip, it's 1 hour drive, 2 hours drive, 1 hour drive, and then 2.5 hours back to Melbourne again. So that's the sort of distance. But our clients are spread right throughout Victoria. So from here in Melbourne, if I was to drive east to our furthest client, it would be about a 3-hour drive. If I was to drive west to our furthest client, it's again about a 3-hour drive. So we cover a huge distance. We don't now, IT's changed. It used to be that everything happened, you had to get in the car and drive somewhere to fix it, where it's rare now that we have emergency trips. We do have a lot of scheduled on-site work, but it's really rare now that somebody has to get in the car and drive somebody somewhere to a site that's an emergency trip,
So
which is nice.
So it's mainly like a local server. You just using your local server, so everything is still, from the client's perspective, is remote.
Absolutely. So the tools that we use, we can just log in and, do what we need to do on your computer. So we'll just say to you, we're logging in now, so don't touch anything. And then, a little screen will pop up to say that somebody's accessed your computer. So, we can't do it without your knowledge. And it's a little bit freaky because, the cursor starts moving and screens start changing. So it's a little weird. But it's a far more efficient way of doing it. If you have an issue and we can log straight in and get it sorted for you in 2 or 3 minutes, far more efficient than getting in the car and driving through traffic and getting there and finding somewhere to park and coming into your office and somebody says, oh, while you're here, can you fix this? So it can take us an hour to get there, where this way we can have it fixed in 2 to 3 minutes.
Well, that's the beauty of today's technology, is the fact that things can be done remote. I mean, you and I, as an example, are having an interview. You're sitting in Melbourne. I'm sitting in Las Vegas, and we're having a live video side-by-side chat, and we can hear each other perfectly well. Mm-hmm. It's to me, it's amazing just how far technology has come in just the last few short years.
Absolutely. Well, Nick and I, my husband and I, have just been in the US for 3 weeks. So we had a conference in Philadelphia, so we were there for 5 days. Then we went to Playa del Carmen and Tulum in Mexico for a vacation for a week, and then back into Austin, Texas for another conference. So we were there for a week. And when we could, we would get into we have a morning huddle. So all of our staff get together through technology, and they have to report on so our sales team have to report on how they're going towards target in the month. Our technicians, how many jobs they completed yesterday, and how many phone calls came in, and all different, the total number of jobs that we have in our system. So all of us have our own KPIs to report on. So whenever Nick and I could, if the timing worked, we would hop onto Teams as well and be in the morning huddle from Philadelphia or from Tulum or from Austin. And we actually won a very big industry award while we were in Austin. We won the Asia Pacific Region Partner of the Year with the vendor whose conference we're attending. So there's over 2,000 people at this conference, and we ended up on stage receiving our award. So we rushed back to our hotel room with the award and said, "Hey, everybody, look what we got!" And we're on the huddle at 9:17 is when we do that morning meeting. But the beauty of the technology now is that literally we can be anywhere in the world and still be part of the team. And one of our staff will say, "Oh, can I work from home?" And I always say, "I don't care if you work from a Greek island, as long as you have your laptop, your phone, and the internet. We can literally be anywhere in the world and still working."
Now, do you have to work the typical 9-to-5 type job there? You're just adjusting for the time zone, or is it more like, "Hey, let me give you this task," and then you perform the task and deliver the product?
It depends. Nick and I tend to, as business owners, we're usually here in the office before 8 a.m. and if we're home by 7, that's a good day. But that's our choice. And often we get more done sort of before people arrive and after people leave, because you're sort of working with people during the day, and that's sort of our time to actually get work done. I think it depends on the job. So we have a help desk. So those guys, the help desk is manned, and our one woman tech, or our tech chick as they call her, they're on the help desk from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. So we have kind of 2 shifts. One starts at 8, one starts at 9. So they finish at 5 and then 6. Often our project work, we look after a couple of hospitals. So if you can't shut a hospital down while you do maintenance on a server at lunchtime on a Friday, so that sort of work will, or a council, so sometimes that work will be done. We'll let everybody know, okay, we're doing some work on that, on some equipment from 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. on Sunday. So that's when we sort of have those windows where we say, what's the least disruption to your business.
And I've seen other services, because I'm also a realtor here in Las Vegas, and they update our multiple listing service, what we call the MLS, and usually it's just between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. where they feel that the smallest amount of disruption, as you said, or activity is going to be on that server at that time.
And if something goes wrong and it's from 1 a.m. till 3 a.m., they've got till 8 a.m. when people start work. So you give yourself that buffer that, if things don't go to plan, you've still got a bit of time. The worst time to do it is, we'll get it finished, we'll start at 7 and have it finished by 8 a.m. How about we start it at 5?
So let me ask you this then: how did you franchise your business? How did you open up other offices? Because a lot of people are probably, that are listening to the show, they're going to be entrepreneurs. They are, sometimes they're just starting out, and you started out with just one employee on the second business. How did you know when to go to a second office? And I'm assuming you actually have a physical office that people are working. So now you're paying rent, you have to get office supplies, you've got to find somebody to hire there and manage the office. How did you make that decision?
A lot of it was around location of staff and location of clients. Because our original business was really based on providing high quality IT support to regional clients. And back in the 90s, when we started in 1996, nobody did that. You really were relying on people coming from Melbourne, and it might be 2 days before they could get there, and they were just not a priority because they were smaller. So that really sort of started that part of it. We made the decision, and they're not franchised. We own the offices. We manage the staff that are in them. I think a lot of it has to do with our culture. So I've spent the time since I've been as general manager, which was 2010. We've employed coaches through the business since then. People who don't fit with our values tend to leave pretty quickly, or we just don't. We now very good at sort of assessing that and saying, will you fit in our business? The systems that we have in place really helps with that. There's nowhere to hide. So we're very, very systemized, and the tools that we use, if somebody is not performing, it stands out. The culture that we've built, if a person is wrong, Nick and I will start hearing sort of whispers, just different comments, and we know that this person's not right for the business. People will hold each other accountable. We have our values up. Every office has our values up on the wall. We use those to manage by, and it gives our team, hey, I just heard you say that on the phone. Is that living our values? So it's really a tool that they can use. So it's not me saying you said or did the wrong thing, but I did notice that maybe what you did doesn't fit with our values. So it's almost that sort of, it's like a third party to hold somebody accountable to.
Yeah, let's say it sounds like kind of like a self-regulating accountability partner.
Absolutely. But for Nick and I, really, it was a huge mindset change to say, because Nick's, he's a tech, and when he was sort of held that CEO, general manager role, I have to be able to see that they're working, or they're not working. So it was almost that sort of level of trust. And I think it was more about trusting himself to manage, where I sort of took the other view that said, well, let's use the systems and the tools and put the right people in the right jobs, and location then doesn't matter. As long as we get together regularly and, hold social events and that sort of thing, and to build that team. But let's put them there, give them trust to do the job. And when we see that they're struggling or that they're not, let's address that then.
Now, during the pre-interview, we were talking a little bit about, because you do something that's a little bit more, that's unique that other companies don't do. And you're talking about having coaching services for yourself, and, being a business coach, you're a business coach as well. But you said that when you hired a coach, you said within the first week, they completely restructured the whole management style of your system. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So 2010, we hired a business coach who specializes in IT service businesses, and he's owned some businesses like that himself. So the very first thing that he did, and Nick and I actually had two business partners as well, so it was an ownership and management team of 4. Nick had always been a general manager. He's sort of a bigger personality, probably louder than the rest of us. So he sort of held that CEO role. And the first thing that Josh did was to swap our roles around. So I ended up in that meeting being appointed as general manager or CEO of the business. And I think I was speechless. Our two business partners, both men, said that they thought it was a great idea, but it became pretty clear very quickly that they actually didn't like the idea at all. And Nick, by his own admission, his handover was good luck with that, and he sulked for 2 years. He used to say he sulked for a year, and he says, actually, I think it might have been 2 years. So I employed a coach to work with me because I had no idea how to be a general manager, what that meant, what I needed to do, and who I needed to be. So I employed a coach to work with me, and over time rolled that out to the rest of the team. And until the middle of last year, so 7 years, it was actually, it was a choice. Whether you worked with the coach or not, it was available to everybody. And last June, we changed to a different coach, and I then made it mandatory. It's part of the personal development program here at DWM, that if you work for us, you get coached. So we now actually have 2. So we have a sales coach. She comes, and she lives in Brisbane, which is 2,000 kilometres from Melbourne. So we fly her in once a quarter for a 2-day face-to-face sales workshop. So we look at all sorts of things, the mindset of people, and we use DISC profiling, so behaviour styles, so everything salesy. And then she works with the individuals in our sales team every week. They have a 1-hour coaching session, and that's all about accountability. So, Kevin, last week you said you were going to do these three things. How did you go with that? And if there's a pattern of avoiding or not doing things, then have a look at the reason why. Do you not know how to do it? Are you scared? What is that? And really, and it's changed our business. And for everybody else, for the rest of the team, we have a personal development coach. And as I said, it's mandatory. They have a 1 hour coaching session per month, so by phone. And she also comes in once a quarter and does some leadership training. It might be on mindset. It might be on what's she talking about next time? The stories that we tell ourselves and how to get past those stories. I can't do things. I can't go to the gym. Whatever that story may be. But yeah, it's and what's happened is it's changed the culture of the business. Everybody who is here wants to be here, loves working here, great place to work, and really engage with the coaching. And the ones who don't, they kind of tend to drift off. It's just not the right place for them.
And that's I'm so glad that you're saying that, because there's so many people out there that are trying to do this on their own, or they may be like those small mom and pop type of outfit, and yeah, that's how you guys started as well. But the thing is, when you actually started saying, hey, have somebody else that's outside look in and then guide us, and even do so, and then you guys even allowed the coach not only to come in, make the suggestion, but you guys actually even took the initiative to actually make the change.
Absolutely.
So you actually listened to what the coach was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you out there, I believe everybody needs to have some kind of coaching going on, regardless of what you're doing. It could be, and I would say, I have a mentor of mine that says you should have at least 3 coaches, because a coach is only when you hire a coach. Coaches are not universal. Like you said, you hired a coach that was on IT, that dealt with IT companies. That's very specialized.
Yes.
But that coach is not going to be the one that shows you how, what you should be doing at the gym. They're not going to be showing you how you should be eating. What kind of. Those are 3 different kinds of coaches. And when you hire a coach, it does need to be specialized. And
Absolutely.
it is. I mean, like I'm right now, I'm about to start doing work with another coach starting at the end of this month. And it's actually 2 people, and they actually come in and do the coaching together. So it's
Okay.
a male female dynamic. They're business partners. And for me, I've learned a lot from the male side. The female, I've learned a lot from her as well. But I get a little bit more better with the male on this one, but which is great, because I'm still getting both inputs. So I would suggest anybody out there, find a coach. If you're having troubles in your business or in other areas of your life, go find that specialized person, and don't be afraid to have more than one.
Mm. And I call myself a business coach, and one of my passions is to, and Nick and I are almost there, making ourselves redundant from our business so that we're not needed day to day. And we have a real passion about the industry. And I guess, the industry still has a bit of a, Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, or the IT crowd, that, lock us away in cupboards and don't let us out, with other people, unable to hold a conversation. But so I guess changing that industry, for me, getting more women into the industry, even though I'm not, I own an IT business, I don't have technical skills, but really about getting women into the industry, because there's so many different places that, outside of coding, there's lots and lots of opportunity within the industry. But one of my passions is working with other IT business owners and get them out of working in the business, so they're not on the tools, they're not, answering the phone at 1 a.m. when a client rings, but they're actually empowering their staff and, get them so that they're taking the time to work on their business, not always in it. And we're actually, we've just appointed another coach for us, so we're implementing a system called EOS, Entrepreneurs Operating System, and that's really a structure to put into place that is putting the right people in the right seats. All of the reporting, the financial reporting, the KPIs, and the guy that we've chosen to do this, we deliberately picked somebody who he's actually owned an IT business in the past, and he has quite a bit of experience with IT companies, but he's got a broader base as well, because we wanted him to have that sort of depth of experience, not just IT.
Now, let me ask you this, because we're getting a little bit short on time right now. Well, 'cause IT is a big, broad area. Could you be a little bit more specific as to who's your ideal client? You know, what kind of problems or what kind of solutions are you solving for them?
So a lot of our clients are bigger, so hospitals, government, so county councils, so they look after the roads and whatnot, and then some government utilities, so water, they look after the water, get the water to your taps, to your faucets. But our ideal client is that probably 30 to 50 person business in financial services or insurance brokers. So again, service providers, but who are very heavy IT dependent. And we have a couple of different taglines. One is, we think about your IT so you don't have to. We create predictable outcomes. There's another one, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we fix shit before it breaks. That's okay in Australia, so hopefully it's okay here. But it's all that proactive work. So our aim is that your staff come into work or work from home, wherever they are, they have everything that they need, that they can just do their job and not even think about IT. So one of our clients said to us a couple of years ago, what changed when you started looking after us was I used to I was considering getting one of those number systems on my desk. So the people who were queued up at my desk to complain about the IT, they could take a number and just join the queue. And he said, now the only time I think about IT is when I get your monthly invoice and I approve it for payment. So that's what we do.
And I was going to ask a question I probably already know the answer to, and I'm sure our guests already know the answer to. Can you work with people outside of Australia?
We do. Well, like I said, we're in Mexico a few weeks ago, and the only thing is the time difference. But yeah, as a coach, I've actually got a client in Sweden. I've got another one in Tokyo. But yeah, we're international as long as we have the internet. I think our best effort was we were on a cruise ship off the coast of India, and we got internet for a few minutes. So we did a proposal, but yeah, we can work from anywhere in the world, and we can work with anybody anywhere in the world.
Because you're people back in the offices and your coders and what have you. I mean, the internet's all over the place. So as long as I have access to the internet, the work can be done. That's why I knew the answer before I asked it. So
absolutely, yeah.
Now, so the name of your company is called DWM Solutions. What does that stand for?
Well, it actually came about because we wanted a 3-letter acronym because Nick cannot spell. So we wanted a 3-letter, we didn't want, dynamicbusinesssystems.com or something, because he would never be able to type it. And, we were fortunate, back in those days, there were a few still available. So dwm.com.au for Australia was available. But one of our clients came up with, don't worry, mate. So that's what we tell people.
Don't worry, mate.
Yeah. Good Aussie name.
And actually, I use the word mate all the time since I visited the Australia back in 1990 when on my last cruise in the United States Navy. It was an Australian cruise, and 2 months later I was out of the service. Ever since then, I always say the word mate, and because of that, people ask me if I'm from Australia.
Okay. And it's interesting. We just say it. We just always, mate is just part of our sort of, our vernacular, I guess. But I had somebody say to me recently, I was in Philadelphia, and Nick actually called him mate, and he said, "Oh, I feel like I've made it. I'm in your circle. You called me mate." And Nick sort of looked at it like, I call everybody mate, particularly when I can't remember their name.
Yes, of course. And you've got a website. So the first website was what again?
So our IT business website is dwm.com.au.
Okay, so just 3 letters. Okay.
Yep, which
and
is
you've
nice
got
and easy.
another website which should be launched by the time the airing of this show. And which is that one?
And that's Jeni. So my mother couldn't spell, so she named me Jennifer with 1 N. So I've just basically abbreviated that to, Jeni, Jeni Clift, CLIFT.com. And that's all about me and my coaching, my speaking, and, all about me.
Okay. So the first website is D as in DWM, like don't worry, mate, .com. for
Yes.
Australia, and your coaching and speaking website is jeniclift.com. It's JENICLIFT.com.
Correct.
Okay. Well, Jeni, I do want to say thank you for being on the show today. Are there any last words that you have before we say goodbye to everybody?
No, I think the only thing, thank you so much for having me. Totally agree with what you said about getting a coach. Changed our business, changed our lives. So if you are struggling in any way, if you wanted to learn how to play golf better, you'd go get some lessons. If your business is struggling, go get a coach.
Yeah. Couldn't say it any better. So, well, Jeni, again, thank you for being on the show. And before we say goodbye, I do want to say, everybody out there, also, if you're looking for a coach, myself, I'm also a business coach. Check out JeniCleft.com. You can also go to KevinADunlap.com. I do have a free gift at KevinADunlap.com/free gift. No hyphen, no space, or anything like that. So that'll be a nice little gift for you guys. And again, Jeni, thank you for being on the show. And I want to say, again, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit KevinADunlap.com, Facebook.com/KevinADunlap.author, and on Twitter @KevinADunlap. We'll catch you on the next episode of Life's Little Lessons.